Hey, what's up everybody? Nola Deach here, coming to you from a Masonic cemetery in New Orleans. And I wanted to show you a few things here because it's pretty interesting. So come check it out with me. So one of the first things that you see when you walk into this side of the cemetery are the Masonic logos. And of course in the main house here you can see the logo right there. Grand Lodge of the state of Louisiana for free and accepted Masons. Now this one's not a very big cemetery. You can see there's just a few rows all along here, and it is divided by a street, and there's a whole nother section that's even older than the section that I'm in, but you can look and see some of these. This one dates back to 1926, and there's a few of these that date back a little bit earlier than that. But this place is really interesting because it isn't the traditional New Orleans style tombs all throughout the cemetery that people are generally used to seeing in New Orleans cemeteries. Most of the graves here are these slightly raised in-ground burial plots. Here's one of the tombs that you traditionally would see in a New Orleans cemetery dating back to 1930. Here's another one. 1930 was the first person to be buried in this spot here, but this is the slightly raised above ground burial plot. And it's done that way because in New Orleans we sit below sea level, so traditional graves don't really work very well because given a hard rain, a flood, or whatever, caskets and bodies would be floating out of these places, and that used to happen many years ago. And that's why most of the cemeteries went for these big tombs and the slightly raised grave that you see here. From what I'm gathering, everybody buried here was either a Mason or a family member of a Mason. You can see a lot of these headstones have that Masonic symbol on them, as well as some other symbols as well too. This is really big. This one might be one of the oldest ones in this side of the cemetery. You can see dates back to 1914 for this particular tomb, was the first person to be buried in it. I kind of like the rusted fence motif that the cemetery has. Unintentional, of course, but it's fitting. Not a big mushroom fan, unless they're cooked. Now this is something I've never seen before. So again, we've got one of these raised graves here, dating back to 1958. But this is what's interesting to see. Closed forever. And I'm guessing because it looks like John and Emma, husband and wife, were buried here not far apart in death, not far apart in birth either. They were roughly the same age. So there is a chair sitting up top one of these graves here. I'm not sure if that's part of the grave or if somebody has just brought that and placed it there in remembrance. it looks separate. It doesn't look like it's part of the cement or anything. It's just sitting up top. An old wooden chair. I want to go take a quick little walk across the street there to the other side of the cemetery, because I believe that is the older side. So there should be some older tombs and older graves there. So we're going to go check that out. We're going to walk through this fence here. We're going to go check out this other side. If you look real closely on these posts, you can see some symbols, including the Masonic symbol there. So here's one 1915. It's already older than what's on the other side there. This is an interesting grave. There's a lot of people. I'm not sure if this means that they're all buried here, but there's quite a few names on this marker. It is the Union Lodge number 172. F and AM. I'm not sure what that means. But that's all the deceased members from that Union Lodge number 172. I assume they are buried here in this plot all together. These are beautiful. I love seeing these big tombs like this. These are amazing. That's 1873. That's the date there on the fence. And I'm trying to see. So the fence date says 1873, but the first date on the marker there says 1868. So maybe the fence was erected sometime after this tomb was built for this family. Beautiful. This one here is really big, and this dates back to 1890 when this was first built. Well, maybe it wasn't built in 1890, but that's the first person that was buried here. I don't see a date as to when it was actually built. I don't think they put the dates of when these things are actually built on them, but you can judge basically from the date that the first person's buried in there about how old these are. Check out the symbol that's carved into the side here. There's something about walking around cemeteries that's very peaceful, because usually there's not a lot of people here, if any at all. I'm the only one here at the moment, and you're kind of alone with your thoughts. This one here doesn't even have a marker on it. Either it has faded over time, or the marker that was there has fallen and broken off. So unfortunately, don't know who's buried in this particular one. Oh wait, okay, hold on. Can kind of see faintly. It says Family Tomb, Chaz W. Hugo. Not really any more information other than that as to who might be buried in here. It looks very old, and it is kind of cracking. The front is sort of coming off, so it's not in the greatest of shape. You can see the cracking up top and on the sides. In fact, you can almost see inside of this thing. This one here, this one's from 1900, November 16th, 1900. And some of these are shaped interesting, because typically you see the ones that are like this, shaped this way, but some are smaller, shorter, and in this case wider. And that could mean there's several chambers in there to make room for more family members. Who knows? This one's interesting. You got kind of a brick design on the side here. Or tile. This is tiled. First time I've seen one of these tiled like that. That's interesting. There's only one person listed on here dating back to 1975. Looks like it was a family tomb that I don't know if the rest of the family has decided not to be buried in here, or if they're all just still living and just haven't moved in yet, so to speak. Some of these have broken headstones, unfortunately, and maybe the family's no longer around to replace it or fix it. Some of these are forgotten graves. This one looks pretty old. 1906. Not in the best of shape. Here's one without a marker again. This one here is the Mount Moriah Lodge, number 59. I don't know what that FAM means. If you know what FAM means, leave it in the comments below. It's a very large plot. Obviously a large group of people buried here, full of mushrooms. See what it says up here, and you can see the Masonic symbol up there, of course, in memory of Walter Nickel and John Booth. And this one's numbered. I'm guessing these are the different sections of this plot for the different people to be buried here. 1865, 1861. This one's pretty old. Now this one here, the marker has fallen over forward, so you can't read anything on it. Well, let's see. No, there's something down here. You can kind of make out some dates and names. Looks like 1862. Very hard to read. I guess maybe it fell over and somebody had replaced it at some point, but it has been weathered down. Here's another group lot here. The Quitman Lodge, number 76, F and AM. Once again, I don't know what that means. If you know what that means, leave it in the comments down below. And here's a list of the people that I am assuming are buried in this plot together. It's a very large list of names. I'm not sure if this is just to represent these people in this lodge, or if they're actually buried in this plot. This one here just has some steps leading up to the burial plot with some names on each step there. No dates, no other information. Now out of all of these, this is my favorite one to see. Curious if at one point these gates were open to where you can walk up the steps to the top there. Very large structure here. Looking on the inside here, this mausoleum looks very, very old and very, very weathered. And you can see, can you see the Masonic symbol hanging down there? Very interesting. And there's even what looks like some removable sections of the floor, maybe, or maybe that's where the flowers can go. I'm not quite sure about that. Some more names around here on the side. There's a lot of people listed on this particular one. Starting at 1910 maybe? Nope, even earlier here. 1897, 1891, 1886. That might be the oldest tablet here. That's what it looks like. Looks like the oldest tablet here starts at 1886. Wow. It's a lot of names listed for this very large structure of people buried. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for joining me in these little adventures that I go on. Make sure you click that subscribe button down below, and there's a little bell next to it. If you click that, you'll get a notification whenever I post a new video or whenever I go live. You'll be notified, so you can always stay on top of when I have new videos coming out. So make sure you click both those, the subscribe button and the little bell icon. If you would like to throw some support my way, I do have some t-shirts for sale in my Spreadshirt shop. You can get to it, noladige.com, and I've got the links down below. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed a little lanyap from this Who Dat. Go pass a good time.